Have you ever wondered what John Eldredge's story is with his father? John shares that story coming up. We recently released the full-length, unedited, and unplugged interview I did with John Eldredge. It's real, powerful, and raw, and it's a video every man and dad needs to watch. Here's a brief clip from that interview where John shares his own story about his dad, how he was wounded by him, and how it shaped his view of God.
Let me tell you a little bit about my story. So I'm the only son in my family. I have two older sisters. So when I was young, I was kind of the apple of my dad's eye. My dad loved to fish. My sisters didn't want to go fishing, so I loved it. I got dad on weekends. I got to play with dad. And then my dad got taken out. Through a series of just job losses, I think some real disappointments in his own life, not dealing with his own woundedness, he fell to drinking. And as happens with some men, I mean, it just grabbed him like a riptide and took him out to sea, and he was gone. So deep abandonment wounds, right at the time in the boy's life when you're shifting from the boyhood years into the teenage years, and you need to know that you've got what it takes, right? I mean, my dad was gone, checked out, absent. So he was gone. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, my dad was gone. Now, late in my teenage years, I developed a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And it was the single most wonderful, phenomenal event, life-changing event in my story. It was a total turnaround for me. And I began my faith journey with God. I began to notice, though, in my 20s that I could relate to Jesus. I wasn't really big on this God as Father thing. And I would hear guys talk about, oh, my Father God, or they'd even pray things like, Abba, Father, and I'm like, no thanks, like that's kind of weird, not really interested in this Father thing. And well, guess what, right? My experience of a father who left and left me alone to figure life out translated directly into my experience of God as Father. Thinking, he's distant, he's not available, he's probably going to check out. I'm still pretty much on my own to figure life out, even though there's God, right? It's still pretty much up to me. And you'll find that in many men of faith. They may have a deep and genuine faith in God. They may study their scriptures and attend church regularly, but they're still living with this profound conviction inside that life is up to me, right? That, my career, it's up to me. Figuring these kids out, this marriage, it's up to me, right? Making enough to get the bills paid, it's all up to me. Even men of deep faith still have that disconnect that they're not the beloved son. They don't have a father who delights in them, right? That loves all over them, that believes in them. And so your experience with your father growing up profoundly influences your kind of unspoken, almost subconscious assumptions about what God as Father is like.